Welcome back, everybody. It's Steve with these tackle box, and I got something right up your alley if you're from the Florida side. So you guys stay tuned. I got something that I believe it ended about 1970s or 80s when the last ones were made. So let's take a look at some old retro lures inspired by some of the greatest brands out there. Okay, so we're gonna get right into this time so that we can cover them, because I got about 14-15 lures here that I need to show y'all. And what I wanted to show you is lures made in 70s, 80s. So they're, you know, we consider those retro lures because they're pre-80s. You know, there's a lot of other new makers and stuff like that that continued on till today. But our cutoff when it comes to a lot of the lures that we collect usually comes about the late 80s or mid 80s, and after that into the 90s you're talking about more modern stuff. So today's topic has to do with a Florida lure maker. He was actually born in 1922, I believe, and his name is Joel C. Griner, Griner. So on some of his lures, you will notice on the bottom of the belly that it has the stencil, and it just says Griner. I'm not quite sure yet because there's very limited information in regards to exactly how he was stamping them or when or whatever, what years were which. From what I understood, I think back in the 60s he was already starting on those, but most of the ones that were found later were from the 70s and 80s, and I think after that I'm pretty sure he retired from doing the lure making projects. From what I was able to gather when I was looking for information, and I talked to a couple of you Florida guys, so thank you for your help. We wanted to make sure that we knew where it all started, where it came from, and part of this was he was learning to make lures that mimicked other makers' lures, if you catch my drift. So he started carving out wooden lures based on the platforms of other makers at that time. For example, we'll start off with one of the better ones that I enjoy, and actually I provided one also to Steven Rampersad, I believe. It's he's over there in Florida, and he collects a lot of the Florida stuff. Well, this one here is Mr. Griner's version of Pfeffer's Orlando Shiner. So this one is cataloged or known as the Griner Shiner, and so it's a nice looking prop bait. You can see here it's got the spotted ape finish to it, and that's what we call this color here, with the spots and the silver and the black and the belly with the orange and yellow. It's got the smiley gills there. You can see it looks kind of crude, but these were all made by him, and I have a chunk of a collection that has to do with his lures, and I bought them all together because I just could not leave them behind. I've only sold two, and one of them was another one that looked exactly like this, and another baby one of these, the smaller version. So take a look at this and compare it, if you want to, with Pfeffer's Spotted Ape Orlando Shiner minnow. By the way, this guy, Mr. Joel Griner, was actually living in Orlando, Florida at the time, so hence the you know, imitation of the lures that were around him and the makers that were teaching him. From what I understand, he was an understudy of Jim Peffer, so he was actually learning a lot of his models. So that's where he got that inspiration for that lure. But he also was inspired by a lot of other makers, and we'll get to a couple of them here as the time provides. But we got one here that I really enjoy the color, a yellow Egger brand Dillinger. This would be your C Dillinger, and you can see there, upside down of course, you can see right here, it's got two belly weights right here, one here and one there, and then here's the name that you're looking for right there. It says Griner. So this is one of his imitation of the Edgar Dillinger, the C. Dillinger, and this was his take on that. So from what I was able to understand about that, you could go to Mr. Griner, ask him to make some of these wooden lures that were popular at the time to your liking, to your colors, whatever you wanted, and he would produce you, I believe they were in sets of 12. So there's got to be a lot more out there. This is another one of the same with the double props. This is your C. Dillinger, and so you can tell he was imitating the same Edgar brand. Here's the two weights in the belly there, and there's the name right there, right here. So you can tell exactly who the maker was. Looks pretty close to the other ones, but you can tell it's a little bit more of a crude finish on that. I love these. That's what I call full part lures, but at the same time, you know, from the clarifications that I got, he was imitating those different brands, those different makers. So pretty much he didn't have any lures that he was producing that were his, only copies of other makers, and that is visible in this one as well. This one here is a copy of a J.C. Higgins, I believe, topwater triple hook, triple treble hook, double prop. Try to say that 5 times in a row. And this one would be your J.C. Higgins, I believe, paint scheme and layout. If I'm wrong, you can always drop a comment and correct me down there. It's got a bailiwick here, and you can see the setup for the hardware. So among those lines, he also took inspiration by Creek Chub, and you'll see that in these models. This is your Creek Chub darter version per Mr. Griner. Beautiful lures, man. These are, I mean, all these that I got came in some plastic bags. I don't know where I left all the packaging. I didn't really think much of them when I first got them, until I found out later on that these were made by somebody and not just copies. Here's a Silver Flash, same model, beautiful lures, and it's got the propeller there just like the darters did, and you can see the scaling pattern as well as the eyes. And of course, no collection of mine would be complete unless it had a frog spot. So this is his take on the C darter, and it's got the triple treble hooks, single prop on the rear. Look at that beautiful coloring. I mean, it's I love his work, even though, you know, some people say, oh, it's more of a contemporary folk art type thing. I enjoy collecting those, and I think that with time they might become a little bit more of a lure that's going to be harder to find. So if you see them out there, make sure you pick them up, and if you get a good price for them, even better. I got the one that comes next here is inspired by Old Ben's. Hey Bacon, Michael, here we are. Inspiration that came through to Mr. Griner in the form of your K9 wood body, triple hook, double prop. I don't know what the model is, but that was the inspired lure, and this is what he produced. And I think I got 2 of them, and you can see the different finish on the belly there, and the each one kind of has its own take on the whole paint scheme. Look at the eyeballs on this one. That one's obviously dripping a little paint. Now over here we have a black one, and I think they call these ghosts, because I saw a couple of paperwork where it said gray ghost and yellow ghost and stuff like that, so I'm not sure. I think I saw one that said black ghost. That might be this one. If you guys know more about his lures and you can properly identify the color codes, names, models, or whatever, help me out, man. I'm in need of any information I can get from you Florida guys. Then, of course, once again, the frog. And this one is one of my personal favorites, along with the ones that I'm going to show you next. So, he made the large version of that, but he also made a baby ghost, or from what I remember seeing on some paperwork, it said baby ghost, and then a regular ghost. The regular ghost just had the color like gray ghost, black ghost, yellow ghost. And I think this is his take on a perch finish or a pike scale finish or something like that. It's a pretty weird looking lure color, very green. You can see those waves up there on both sides go up like that. I'm assuming it's from the brush. And the eyeballs like the canine, Old Band's canine model. But like I showed you earlier, he made some really cool patterns, and this one would be your baby as well. And you can see the eyeballs there. It's not like the Smithwick when it comes to the eyes. It might have been inspired as well by the Smithwick, but I believe these are closer to the Old Bands. And you can see the scaling pattern there. It's beautiful lures. Double hook are the babies, and this one also has double props. And to finish it off, my personal favorite, the larger model of the baby. And this one has the 3 hooks, double props, and man, are these beautiful. So guys, keep an eye out for those lure makers that didn't make it as far as you know, like a Heddon or Cotton Cordell or stuff like that. But some of these lure makers, maybe not yet, but I'm assuming somebody out there is going to want to add these to a collection one day. And I know that there's a couple of people out there who are already collecting that brand. Now, I'm collecting it in the sense that I've been finding them and I'm putting them together, and I've been able to properly identify that those are his and not just other copies. A lot of these came in quantities together, so that's how I was able to put those together. Now, on another note, anytime that it comes to smaller makers, we always seek information before we just throw it out there. And we've been learning a lot more about the Florida stuff, so stay tuned for the next run. We'll be talking about some Bagleys, and I know that a lot of people have those in their tackle box. There's some tough colors out there, guys, so stay tuned till the next time. For now, this is D signing off. Fish out.